Hello, everybody, and thank you for being here today. And if you want to go ahead and get your Bible and go back with me to the book of Proverbs, chapter 7, and we'll be starting in verse 13 as we continue to look at the story that Solomon uses, that Solomon told his son to illustrate the importance of morality, of making good decisions. A lot of lessons that are in this story. It's obviously again the story of young man caught up in a moral relationship, but there are principles here that carry over into many areas, as we looked at yesterday. Again, just putting himself in a bad place in a situation where he was likely to be tempted. And so today we continue with the story, and we'll just read the rest of this section, beginning of verse 13. So she caught him and kissed him, and with an impudent face said unto him, I have peace offerings with me. This day have I paid my vows. Therefore came I forth to meet thee, diligently to seek thy face, and I have found thee. I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry, with carved works, with fine linen of Egypt. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning. Let us solace ourselves with loves. For the good man is not home. He is gone a long journey. He hath taken a bag of money with him, and will come home at the day appointed. Obvious what happens in this story. The man has put himself in the way of temptation, and now the woman, because she knows he is there. Obviously, when you read this story, I think it's obvious that she had seen him, that she knew him, that she knew what he was up to, and we see her actions. She puts her arms around him, grabs him, kisses him. When it says there with an impudent face, it's saying that she turned her back. She towards God's law, towards the marriage of, towards her marriage, and invited him in. She has peace offerings or food. And so, we've all heard wait on man's hearts through his stomach. And so she does this. And another thing that she's doing there, I paid my vows. She drags her religion into this whole story. She drags her faith into it. Even she tells him she had been watching for him in verse 15, and again. I think that lets us know that this is not the first time that this young man had been in her neighborhood, and perhaps not the first time they had flirted with each other. And so she finally invites him to come in and to spend the night with him through the night. And then she goes on and tells him, says he doesn't need to worry. In verse 19, that her husband was out of town, that he left with a bag full of money, which means he would be gone for a long time, and that he would be gone for a period of time. And the statement when she says the appointed time points towards the next full moon. So she had an idea of when her husband was coming home, and so it's clear here of a couple things. Some commentators, it's interesting, make the young man out to be innocent. That he was just walking down the street when this woman jumps out. I think you'd have to be practically blind to not see that's not what was going on at all. This young man believe it's pretty clear has met her before, maybe even that day, but and she's either invited him to her house or somehow or another they've made connection, and he's went over and walked up and down and around through her house, and finally she sees him and comes out to meet him. And again, we see just the danger all around. Again, and this is not, I don't believe, just a sexual sin story. I think the message that is there, obviously, the primary message is the immorality that is taking place in this story. I don't think we can blame it all on the man. I don't think we blame it all on the woman. They're obviously both guilty. He knows that's not his wife, and she knows that's not her husband. But again, the principle that is there carries over into so many aspects of life. Had he not been walking around her neighborhood, it's obvious that she was looking for him and waiting for him to come by. And again, they have both put themselves in this situation. And the message, I think, is clear to us, as it has been throughout Solomon's story, to not put yourself in circumstances. And we talked about this yesterday, but Solomon just keeps reiterating this to his son, that we don't allow ourselves to be put in this situation. The young man may not could have helped that she came out, caught him, and kissed him, and said, "I have peace offerings, and I've sought you. I've got cleaned up my bedroom and got everything ready. Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning." At that point, the young man could have said, "Nope, got to go home." Everybody, both the people in this story share some guilt, and they both have placed themselves in situations, in a situation that was pretty obviously going to lead to more sin. And again, it's just so clear from this story what Solomon is trying to teach his son. Obviously, the danger of immorality, but not just that. Don't go in the bank vault where the money's laying loose. Those kind of things. Don't place yourself where temptation will overtake you. And again, if this, you look at the woman's side of the story, maybe she should have went with her husband. There's all kinds of ways that we could point at everybody in this story. And so we just once again are reminded today of the importance, the necessity of getting out of that situation before time. Many times we find ourselves in situations, we try to clean it up after the fact. The place to fix this was in the beginning. Don't go in her neighborhood. When she comes out of the house, go home. For her, stay in the house. Just so many ways this situation could have been avoided. And most of the situations that we find ourselves in our life can be avoided. Sin is avoidable. And we have to look for the way that God has made, that way of escape that he tells us is available to us. Think about that today. There'll be opportunities in your life today. There'll be situations come up in your world today or maybe tomorrow, but where you need to make a different decision, where you need to get out of that circumstance to avoid the trap of Satan. You have a good day. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.